directly adjacent to this property, you have a construction company, and here you can see Farmer Road and Sigmund Road, as I mentioned before. And just kind of a reiteration of what was previously shared. The information on the future land use map, this is already, an industrial area, and it's designated light industrial on the future land use map. We were actually surprised that it wasn't zoned industrial when we looked at some of the details, but for some reason it's still zoned single family residential. And this is an overview of the substation. The dimensions were given previously. It's around 5 acres, I think 600 feet by around 300 feet.
Well, you're back on that same shot.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar enough to know if what they're designed to put in there is going to be allowed for any expansion, or is this everything one shot?
This would be at full build out. So in reality, it may start smaller, but this would be at full kind of expansion. So it wouldn't get any bigger than this.
Well, okay, what I was getting at was the amount of power that these take. And I was thinking a lot of the news lately about these units. So it concerns me that we've got to, if they're putting in enough, or are they going to end up with something that's not going to supply what they need?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how, Georgia Power does all their planning, but, they obviously have a pretty good track record of just the grid reliability, making sure people have power. I guess it depends on who you talk to, because some folks, they have problems getting power and power outages and things like that. But obviously Georgia Power, they do all those planning, studies and requirements, and they're the ones, they have all their engineers and area planners and all that stuff that make those decisions.
Okay. Any more questions or Justin?
I'm just asking, I know that doesn't have anything to do with changing of lane, but Georgia Power is going out to speak to the people in the area regarding the impact of this substation and just their part in it and how it may impact them, because there's been a lot of talk in the news this week, and people are really, some residents in these areas are against it because it impact their homes.
Right.
Outages and of that nature. I just was wondering, was Georgia Power going out?
Yeah, I will specifically for just building the substation. It's obviously they have their community teams and they're engaged on the economic development site. My understanding, obviously, is a lot of the Rockdale Conyers Economic Development Council. They're really pushing a lot of the economic development for these type of initiatives because of the big tax dollars that they bring to the county and the school system. So, in many cases, there may be tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of dollars that are brought into the Rockdale County school systems with some of these projects with all the tax revenue that they bring in. So I don't know specifically about, this substation, but I do think there's constant community engagement with everyone just to make sure people understand what's going on and what the issues are and how it impacts them. Specifically in this case, this all is a very industrial area around here. So this is very consistent with everything that's around it in terms of it's not like that's why I say it's a little strange. It's still zoned single family because everything around it is industrial. This property has been in this family for a long time, and they're very happy to be in a position to financially sell this land and that's been passed down for generations for their families. So for them, they're very happy about this happening because it's really a family legacy that's been built over many years, and now this is an opportunity for them to benefit with some of the success and the economic development that's happening.
I know that data centers are important to future development, and I think that in future I'd like to recommend power company themselves to be part of a presentation on something like this.
Yeah, and
Like-
I apologize.
Like Ernestine was saying, has the power company made some open discussion? I think in the future, I would like to make a recommendation that the county and/or the city, Scott's left on us, be part of the narrative to the commissions to, because data centers are confusing to some people.
Yes, sir. And I apologize that they're not here this evening. They will be at the Board of Commissioners hearing, but I apologize for
That's
the
all
lack
right.
of their presence here for you all.
That's all right. Okay, any further questions?
It's not for me.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody here to speak yea or nay? No. Okay. All right, we'll close the public hearing at this point and go to a motion. Do I hear a motion?
Yep. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve REZ 2025-03 to rezone property from R1 Single Family Residential to M1 Limited Industrial for the development of a Georgia Power substation.
All right, we've got a motion. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Got a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody opposed. Okay. Item R4, text amendment 2025-01. Mr. Nick?
Yes, sir. We have a few of those tonight, and the first one is the initiation of the UDO text amendment 2025-01 to amend section 106-1 to add gasoline station to definitions and amend section 218-13AA pertaining to the standards of use and development for a gasoline station and gasoline stations with convenience store. So with this, we're amending or changing the definition, and the definition should now read a facility that sells fuel for motor vehicles, including but not limited to gasoline and diesel. And in section AA, gasoline station with convenience store. Some of the highlights of this text amendment would be that there shall not be more than 6 MPDs, which are multiple product dispensers at any gasoline service station. Another highlight would be no gasoline station shall be located within 1 mile of another gas station. This distance shall be measured in a straight line from the nearest property line of the existing gas station to the nearest property line of the proposed gasoline station. Another one would be there shall be a minimum distance of 500 feet measured from the nearest points of lot boundaries between a proposed gasoline service station and any lot occupied by a church, hospital, school, or other places of public assembly. With this text amendment, there are also penalties for not adhering to the amendments, and which includes $500 fee or 180 days
My packet's missing it.
fine. Or, yeah, so
I got it.
the amendment has a lot more to it, which is in your packets as well. It shows,
I don't know if it's anybody else's packet is lacking, but I'm missing 1, 2, and 3 out of mine.
1, 2, or 3 what?
I have all of them.
Amendment?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
No, not the amendments, the
Text.
sections. I must have overlooked them when I was going reviewing this, but
Well, you have pages.
Is that for everyone or just?
No, I have mine.
You have yours?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I have another one that doesn't have 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Does anybody?
They all.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Do you need 2 also?
I'll need 2 and 3 also. Messing with me before we leave.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give you them in the order. So you've got one with you,
2 and 3.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
But, right, so this is for just the definition changes, and all that is included for the text amendment for gasoline is also a long list of items there, but some are already in our UDO. There are just some that are new, which I've highlighted a few of them.
These come about because of the Oglesby Bridge,
Not necessarily.
but maybe.
No,
Okay.
we, just for the planning itself, we're feeling that there are too many gasoline stations
Okay,
around, so.
So
all right.
those that are in place now, just we grandfathered in.
Yes,
they're less than
yes.
a mile apart, but, so those, if anyone wanted to develop one, it has to be a mile apart, right? So
It has to be one.
a mile, if someone wants to come and develop one.
They would have to adhere to the new
Okay, all right.
ordinance, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions, further questions of Denise?
No.
No questions? Okay, so I'll leave you guys to your discussion. Dr. Flash?
Does anybody have anything
No.
to
No.
say on this one? No? Okay. Hearing nothing in discussion, do we have a
Oh, yeah.
people
Hold on.
to,
We have
Yes.
one person?
one person?
Yes, Ms. Gillard.
Come on down, Charlotte.
I'll be quick, Mr. Chairman. I had to pick one, so I picked the first one. I'm in support of all of them. I'm glad that staff has, and thank staff particularly for going ahead and writing these amendments. You don't have to always hire a consultant to do this if you have staff that can do it. And also the interim director for listening to the citizens that have said we have too many gas stations, we have too many vape shops, we have too many storage units. So this is a good beginning. And again, thank them for responding to the citizens and listening and going ahead and making these UDO changes as they see them. You don't have to wait and do them all at one time. You can do them a little bit at a time so you don't have a long meeting.
Do I,
So I would be in support. And if there's one or two that I missed, I will public comment at the BOC zoning public hearing. And
do I hear the possibility you're bringing this up with the city at some future moment?
I could.
No hints, just
I could.
a supposition, okay.
And one thing, not relevant, but at the bottom, next regularly scheduled, Rockdale County Planning Commission meeting, you're already assuming it's not going to be city county. Thank you.
It's already done, isn't it? Okay, all right, that closes the public comment. At this time, I'll be looking for further discussion or a motion. Hearing no discussion, I will ask for a motion.
All right, Mr. Chair, I make a motion. On text 2025-01, the initiating of the UDO text amendment 2025-01 to amend section 106-1 to add gasoline station to definitions and amend section 218-13 pertaining to the standards of use and development for gasoline station and gasoline stations with convenience store.
Okay, we've got a motion for text amendment 2025-01. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item R5, text amendment 2025-02.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and this text amendment 2025-02 is to amend section 106-1 to add small box discount retailers to definitions, and to amend section 218-1 to add small box discount retailers to the table of permitted uses and create standards of use and development that will apply to the use. The small box discount retailers, The definition will read, a retail establishment with a floor area of less than 12,000 square feet that offers for sale a combination and variety of convenience shopping goods and consumer shopping goods, and continuously offers a majority of the items in its inventory for sale at a price per item of $10 or less, adjusted for inflation. So we will also be adding that to the table of permitted uses, and that will hereby amend by adding the word yes in the column headed by the words supplemental reg, adding the word small box discount retailer in the column headed by uses, and adding the letter P in columns headed by C1 and C2 to reference. The table should be in your packet. You will see where those are listed and referenced. And some of the highlights of this text amendment is also that they will only be permitted in C1 and C2. The use shall not be within 200 feet of a lot that is zoned to a residential zone classification under Rockdale County zoning map. And no small box discount retailer shall be located within 4 miles of another small box discount retailer. So those two, we're trying to limit the amount and to kind of spread them out a little bit more.
I think I'll go out and patent the name of the store, Small Box.
Small box. And as we all know, these include like the Family Dollars,
Dollar General,
Yeah.
Dollar Tree.
Dollar Tree,
Yep.
all of those.
Praise God
Okay.
for that.
Any questions of Denise?
Nope.
All right, then we've done all the public comments, so we're good there. All right, so, any question of, any really ready for a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve text 2020-25-02, initiation of UDO, text amendment 2025-02 to amend section 106-1 to add small box discount retailers to definitions, to amend section 218-1 to add small box discount retailers to the table of permitted uses, and create standards of use and development that will apply to the use.
Okay, we got a motion. Do I hear a second?
I, Phyllis Hatcher, second.
All right, we got a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All righty, item R6.
Item R6, text amendment 2025-3 to add vape stores to the definition, to the table of permitted uses, and create standard of use and development that will apply to the use. Vape stores to be added in the definition as vape store shall be defined as any business whose principal product line for retail sale is alternative nicotine products, vape juice, or vape products. For the purpose of this chapter, principal shall mean that alternative nicotine products, vape juice, or vape products constitute at least 25% of the business's aggregate retail sales. Again, the highlights of this text amendment are in all zoning district of the county, vape stores are considered objectionable and prohibited. So, any existing vape store shall be declared to be non-conforming. So, we're basically trying to rule out all or prohibit all vape stores.
So the ones that are existing, they will have to be closed down?
No, they're
They're
legally
to be grandfathered in?
non-conforming.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I agree with that.
Any further questions of Denise?
No, I
Now, say
like
again
that.
what you just said. I'm sorry, I heard you, but I didn't hear you. So you said they be legally non-conforming?
Yes.
So they won't be closed down?
They won't be closed down. Those that are here already can stay, but there won't be any new ones.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
So but you made a comment and said that the ones that they will be operating illegally. So,
No,
okay,
ideally, that was a typo. It should be considered legal and non-conforming.
okay. All right, just want to be clear.
Yes, sorry.
But no more, right?
Right, no more.
Awesome.
Okay,
Awesome. Okay, I'd like to make a
that
motion.
one is approved. Then it all changes. Okay, do I hear a motion on item R6?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion for item R6, text 2025-03, initiating of UDO text amendment 2025-03 to amend section 106-1 to add vape stores to definitions, to amend section 218-1 to add vape stores to the table of permitted uses, and create standards of use and development that will apply to the use.
You did not use the word approve, so I'm assuming that would be interjected.
Yes, I'd like
Okay.
to approve that
All right.
amendment, sir.
We got a motion, do I hear a second?
I second.
We got a second, any further discussion? Having none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Alrighty, item R7.
Item R7, text amendment 2025-4 to add mini storage warehouses to definitions and to amend section 218-1 to add mini storage warehouses to the table of permitted uses and create standards of use and development that will apply to the use. Mini storage warehouses to be added with the definition as a structure or group of structures for storage of customers' personal property, goods and/or wares where individual stalls or lockers are rented out to different tenants for storage and where no stall or locker exceeds 500 square feet of floor area with interior or exterior access to storage units, non-climate control or climate control exterior metal doors. This also will be added to the table of permitted use, and these will be permitted in only M1 and M2 zoning. The supplemental standard of use is hereby amended to delete subsection UU and enacting the following with the mini storage warehouses. So an highlight or a couple highlights for this text amendment is they should have a minimum lot size of 5 acres. The mini storage must be completely screened by fencing or landscaping in addition to a 150-foot undisturbed buffer if adjacent to a residential zone district. And the mini storage warehouses are permissible, I said this before, in M1 is permitted and M2 permitted with supplemental regulations. So those are just a couple of the highlights for this text
No
amendment.
more clock towers?
No more towers.
I was so thinking that.
Dang.
At least so far that clock's correct. The one at the storage, or is that city? That's city, isn't it?
Yeah, that's in the city,
Yeah,
I think so.
on Flat Show.
yeah.
So
All right.
like for this, the pitch roof will be at least 412, so it won't be going up that high.
I like the one, item 7.
No outdoor storage is
Yes.
permitted.
Mhm.
Prohibition includes, but is not limited to, the storage of vehicles, recreational vehicles, boats, and watercraft.
You know, even though they allow RVs and whatnot, they should be fenced somehow that, you know, with a,
So it's not,
put
you
a,
can't view it
you know,
from,
put a
and this is why.
cloth in front of, the cloth on the fence or something would be
Isolate them.
isolating it, yeah.
Okay.
But,
And I guess the buffer will help with that, and
Yeah.
the screen fencing and all that.
so the screen fencing was in here then, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay, never mind.
150-foot undisturbed buffer, and landscaping and
And no
screen.
flea markets shall be conducted, I like that part.
Yeah, there's a lot to it that we think will work for the benefit of.
What about auctions?
That's a flea market.
No, when they auction off a
Storage unit.
storage unit that's been abandoned.
So you've been watching too much of those.
I know, I've seen
You've
too
been watching
much.
too much of
I've been in
those.
recovery for too long, right?
I watch that all the time myself.
Too many of those stories.
That's an independent
wars.
thing.
I only see that on TV.
Yeah.
They're auctioning off.
Yeah,
I think
he's
that's an
been watching too
independent-
many storage wars.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's an independent thing that
that's what it's
each,
called.
they do, you know, and they typically will take a photograph of it and then they'll auction off the
Yes.
thing. They don't have everybody coming in and they quit that.
Yeah,
So,
you've been watching too
anyway.
many TV.
Sidebar there. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Denise. Any further questions? Okay, then I'm looking for an amendment for item R7, text 2025-04.
Okay,
pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve item R7, text 2025-04. Initiation to undo, is that what I mean?
UDO.
Text message 2025-04 to amend section 106-1 to add mini storage warehouses to definitions, to amend section 218-1 to add mini storage warehouses to the table of permitted uses and create standards of use and development that will apply to the use.
Okay, we've got a motion for approval. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item R8.
You guys are rocking and rolling tonight.
Yeah, shame you couldn't have done the same thing the city did.
Right. So, text amendment 2025-05. This is to amend section 106-1 to add short-term rentals to definition, to amend section 218-1 to add short-term rentals to the table of permitted uses and create standards of use and development that will apply to the use. The definition will be short-term rentals, for short-term rentals is any residential property, facility, or structure used for transient occupancy, providing overnight lodging and accommodations for not more than 14 consecutive days and no longer than a total of 30 days per calendar year. The highlights of this one would be it's permitted in AR, agricultural residential, and WP watershed protection zoning districts. Permitted in R1 single-family residential zoning district with approval of a conditional use permit. No detached structures will be permitted for use as short-term rentals. No special events or private functions allowed at short-term rentals. So this again is another one that has come up quite a bit, and we just want to get a handle on this one as well.
I know what that one is about.
Is this,
Airbnb.
yeah, okay, there you go, okay.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, any further questions of Denise?
So now, so this particular ordinance now, because it is not in single, well, it's in R1, but not in
With
R2,
conditional use.
with a,
In R1 with a conditional use permit,
okay, with a conditional use permit, okay.
special use, conditional use.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it.
So that eliminates it for all type
I
residential
would say
homes.
so today.
Is that, did you happen to say it like that, or is it, special use, short-term rentals can still be for some type of residential homes, or does this eliminate it for all?
It eliminates all the other zonings,
Uh-huh.
so it can only be in single-family residential with that special use permit. And it can be in AR
Mhm.
and in WP.
In the special use permit, it will only be allowed for for any use of the home for a year, 2 years, or how long is special use?
Well, since it's short term, it can, for the owner, it will use the mics, yes. For the owner, they can use it as long as they want to. However, for the person that's staying, they can only stay 14 days consecutively.
Mhm.
And they can be there, can only do 30 days within 1 calendar year.
Okay. So they would have 14 days, then have to come stay another 14 days, something like that. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thanks for clarifying.
And that's,
We don't want them taking up residence.
Okay. Respect it.
and so that's, so if Angela rented one of these facilities, I can only stay for 30 days in a calendar year, but but as long as it's in the correct AR or R1, they can rent it out the whole year.
Right,
Just
to
that-
different-
Right, just to different, okay.
Yes.
All right,
And Angela won't be able to stay there for the full 30 days straight.
right,
She'd have to break it up.
14 days, and
Yeah,
then come back
14,
again and do your other
right.
14 days.
okay.
That's how they do it in the campsite.
Yes, yes.
That's what it reminded me of. We had that conversation about the campsites.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You can do that in the campsite. You can only stay 2 weeks, then you have to leave and come back and do
Right.
the other 2 weeks.
Yeah, gotta break the tent down and move on.
Yeah,
Yeah, receiving mail.
yeah, exactly. I'm a camper. So.
Has that really caused a problem? I'm not familiar with the Airbnb and the issues that it presents for long-term stays.
Read all that, you will see.
It creates a problem.
I mean, I'm just saying. Just read
Really?
the package, you'll
Yeah,
see.
it's all there in
Yeah,
the
it's all in
package.
the
It
package.
does create an issue. We have cases where people are there for too long, they have parties, they have noises, so it just needs to be regulated and not have someone staying there and then having their license changed to that address or their mail
Oh,
start
okay.
coming
I
to
see.
that address. So we have to put certain conditions on them.
Okay.
Alrighty. I'll be seeking a motion on item R8, text 2025-05. Do I hear a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the initiation of a UDO text amendment initiation of UDO text amendment 2025-05 to amend section 106-1 to add short-term rentals to definitions, to amend section 218-1 to add short-term rentals to the table of permitted uses, and create standards of use and development that will apply to the use.
Okay, we've got a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Alrighty, item R9, text 2025-06.
And this tax amendment is for a data center height amendment. We have Mr. John Nix who will go through this one with you guys. And if you have any other questions, I'll be here to answer.
I was wondering why the distinguished Mr. Nix was with us tonight. I know he didn't just like hanging out.
No, I actually was not invited to do this until right before. I think it was a trap. I was really coming to see the last joint meeting. So,
I doubt
seriously, I mean, I wasn't here when y'all started, but it's pretty close.
All right.
So, can you put the slide up that they use for the power substation? And I can talk around it a minute. So there are 3 companies right now that I'm aware of that are active in the data center arena. One of them is DC Blocks, and they are actually under construction with their first building. And they're located, well, the tax map, kind of the one with the tree, that one right there. So the site where they're going to put the substation, you all know where that is, that's the star. If you go across Sigmund Road, the distribution center that went through litigation, and they were here a couple of months ago, said we're back from court. That's the 14-acre triangle right across the street. And if you bend off to the left, going over Sigmund Road and that green dot, there's 2 centers, 2 areas right there. Both of them are zoned O&I , because in Rockdale right now you can have a data center in OI, M1 or M2. So one of those sites is not under development, the one closest to Sigmund Road, and then you go back one more, it's not on the screen, that's where the data center is, that's DC Blocks. And that's, if you drive by there, they're under construction.
Is DC Blocks doing the second one?
The one across the
One that-
street?
yeah.
No, it's owned by, these are three separate companies.
So we can, two of them are gonna be here, we know.
Well, the one that's across from DC Blocks is got zoned. They had to go through zoning to get O and I to get that. The one and the third one that's active is actually behind this substation and coming back behind the lake, Lee's Lake, and behind where it says Pittman Construction. There's an area right there where they've assembled about 60 or 70 acres combined.
Is this substation gonna feed all three?
I don't know enough about that, how much they can do. I know that DC Blocks does have their Georgia Power commitment. And by the way, y'all, when Georgia Power gives you a commitment, what it really means, and this is a policy that they just started about a year ago, and it's just not data centers, it's any heavy-duty electric user. What you have to do now, if you fall into that category, you have to upfront the construction costs of that substation, along with upfronting a commitment to buy so much power, and you pay it on the front end.
Isn't there also an addendum that says they cannot nail any residentials for construction costs? and
Well,
things
that's,
like-
I think you're talking about the legislation, I think, that's going through the General Assembly right now. The Georgia Power created this requirement when they started seeing, what I think it's because when they started seeing what data centers found Georgia, right?
Yeah.
So Georgia Power got ahead of it and said, you're gonna pay up front. And what that has done, my opinion only, has chilled the ability of players that don't have that ability to put the money in to play. And that might be, don't know, why the second one that got recently rezoned last year, nothing's going on there because they don't have, I'm assuming they don't have a commitment. Because there's lots of demand right now. So,
Is this bill in the state house gonna pass?
I don't know.
We
But
don't
see,
know.
what I thought was interesting is Georgia Power was already doing this on the front end privately. They were already making you pay up front for them to build the substation,
Yeah.
and you pay for it, and for you to buy so many units of power, right? The only reason I'm bringing this up is that we know from DC Blocks, because I'm not here for the Development Authority, but I know as someone that watches the Development Authority, that when DC Blocks came in, they said, we're going to put a $1 billion investment in the community for 5 data centers on that site. And they did that by saying, the addition was at the time that to build centers come, I'm sure, in different sizes, but the size they were gonna build was gonna be like $185 million for each building. And the equipment at that time that was going in the centers was just under 200 million. So you do 200 and 185, 385 times 4. To get 5, they had to do something with that pond that's on the property. But you get to $1 billion. When you compute that $1 billion into tax dollars, if it's not got a tax abatement, it's going to generate $14 million in additional tax, and about 7.5 of that would go to the school system, and the balance 6.5 would go to the county. And then these are John history major numbers, okay? But I'm in the ballpark. So when so you want to attract a couple of these, right? And we're a tiny county landmass wise. We all know that. And these centers can only go on tracts of land that are a certain size. Remember, the lawyer for the 12 or 14 acre site said, why didn't you do a data center? Well, it's not big enough. It doesn't handle it. So you've got to put together 50 acres or more, 50 acres minimum to even have a shot at it. And then you got to get your Georgia Power. So all of this is to speak, oh, and by the way, when they were talking about the data center DC Blocks and about 150 to 180 for equipment, because of whatever's going on in AI, which I don't understand at all, I'm just afraid of it. Whatever's going on in AI, that technology is moving so fast right now. That technology is moving so fast right now that the equipment prices have doubled and tripled.
Wow.
So instead of make it easy math for me, instead of $150 million worth of equipment going in 2 years ago, That number now is 5, 6, 700 million for the equipment. So then you got a building that's 185 in my example, but now the equipment costs are that high. And that's what your tax base is seeing as far as the digest. So it's incrementally, it's not 14 million anymore because of the equipment. So this ordinance, the reason I'm here is because one of those players said, hey, we're starting to get interest from some data centers that want to put equipment in data centers, but they need a different kind of data center. They need a data center that's taller. And I don't know why they need them, but there's a group of hyper users, and those are the people can be like Facebook and Microsoft and those kind of folk, that in some instances they want these taller buildings. So I knew that the county was getting ready to go through the UDO, so I thought, well, maybe we can have a Band-Aid. And why do we want to have a Band-Aid? Because in this window that we're in between now and when the UDO does go into effect, and because we've got power, we've got all the increments like DC Blocks and these other folks, once they get their power commitments, you want to be able to give them a menu of what they can put on your site, right? You don't want to be limited if you're marketing. I'm just saying if I was the guy owning the land or the woman owning the land to put a data center on.
Snap and Show's not trying to be a player in this at all?
I don't know if their lines, I don't know how it works, but
They cover South Rockdale.
yeah, so, well, I think in Rockdale, personally, it's going to be very difficult. My personal opinion doesn't matter, but I think data centers for Rockdale, we're looking at where they're going to be because we really can't sustain having scattered, in my opinion, all over the county. And I'm hoping that what's going to happen, we'll recognize that during the UDO and we'll identify this area as our, quote, data center and do an overlay that confines it, right? We basically put a fence around it. But we recognize where it's got to be because guess what? Where it's got to be is where that power is. They've got to have the bigger transmission lines for Georgia Power to deliver what they need to run these things. So,
Well, they're concerned about height and whatnot. Hide it inside of an old corn silo.
well, 85 feet's taller than a corn silo.
Oh,
85 feet.
85 feet.
that's what they're looking at.
So what this proposal was to do as a Band-Aid is to amend the current ordinance. Right now in Rockdale County, you can have a building 100 feet in the Salem corridor overlay. So along I-20, from I-20 back in the Salem Road corridor, you can have 100 feet. The city has a height, I was asking Scott, I knew it before I came here, but it's like 80 or 90 feet in height.
Bank of America, there's your, is that
So
about it?
there is precedent for these heights, but they're limited where they can be. And the suggestion here, pending the UDO, is if in this window that we have before they decide how they're going to do data centers, if somebody comes into the county and the site that was being looked at is this site behind the red stars coming back toward the bottom of the screen, which is all M1. So the ordinance is drafted to where you could have potentially a data center that's 85 feet in M1 or M2 in Rockdale County, but it only has to be M1 or M2. The fire department signed off on it as far as something, I mean, they could handle it. Originally, there was some opportunity to have something on the top of the, I forget what, parapets around the perimeter of the top. Sometimes they have those. Fire department didn't want those on there, so those were taken off, so the height's gonna be.
Like cell activities or something?
Yeah, and it disguises your air conditioning units and other stuff that goes on top of things. But the air conditioning, the cooling for these things are a little different than what you and I think about on air conditioning. So this was an effort to get a window that if between now and when it does get more refined as far as how it's regulated, to give an opportunity to get another center within where we think it's going to be in order to generate, from a taxpayer perspective, generate the kind of tax revenue it would do. Okay. So it's a Band-Aid, and I think in the UDO they'll address all of this about data centers. And we did M1, M2 because the property was being considered, I don't know if it's still being, I think it still is being considered. And I think that's why the fellow was here for the power station, right? What they asked for in the front. But that's my presentation, and I appreciate being drafted.
So you're against?
No,
He's for it.
I help write the ordinance.
Huh?
I help write the
Okay, all right.
Guilty as charged. Boy, that's pretty diplomatic how I said it, if you didn't even know what side I was on.
Oh, yeah, we do.
How do you know how tall a corn silo is? Well, I don't know.
I think they're short of 85 feet. Okay, lawn below please. I think corn silos are 60 feet tall.
I think those three down in Newton County,
Oh, I've got this big one.
the big ones, that's what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
maybe they are that size.
Yeah. You could put a data center in one of those or two of those.
Disguise them.
Yeah.
Kind of like those antenna that look like trees.
Oh,
Right.
don't get me started there. I watched them install that sucker. Yeah.
They fool me every time when I go by.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Corn silos or grain silos typically range in height from 30 to 275 feet.
There you go. Tell them to put it in a, why don't you call Snapping Shoals right now? Say, I got an idea for you.
You want to pay?
Okay.
Any questions of Councilor Nix?
I don't have any.
All righty. Okay, then I'll be looking for a motion on item R9, text amendment 2025-06.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve text 2025-06, the initiation of UDO text amendment 2025-06 to amend section 2181, table of permitted uses, and section 218-13, supplemental regulations to add data center height amendment and create standards of use and development that will apply to the use.
Got a motion, do I hear a second?
A second.
We've got a second. Any further discussion? I think that one discussion thing I'll throw out there is I think the idea of silos is not a bad one. So maybe that 85 feet get looked at later on. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes. Item R10.
And our last item, going back to Scott's first text amendment, we're all, it's a cycle. And this text is text amendment 2025-07 is to amend section section 2-135 and 38-3 Planning Commission and section 106-1 definitions that will apply to the use. The following words, terms, and phrases, when used in this section, shall have the meaning ascribed to them in this subsection, except where the context clearly indicates a different meaning. City means the city of Conyers, Georgia. Planning Commission means Rockdale County Planning Commission. So again, we're going through the separation phase. We haven't reached the divorce phase yet. We're separated. So, right, Scott?
I don't know.
This new planning commission will also consist of 5 members. So that will be a change.
So you're going down to 5.
Going
Okay.
down to 5. And 3 of the members initially appointed to serve on the Planning Commission shall serve for a term of 3 years each, and the other 2 members initially appointed to serve on the Planning Commission shall serve a term of 4 years each. Thereafter, each person appointed to serve on the Planning Commission shall serve for a term of 4 years each. The intent being to have staggered terms for membership on the Planning Commission.
So how does that affect the current terms for the 3 that will be here?
I'll let Director Rutledge.
So once it's complete, so we'll have to go through the Board of Commissioners public hearing, which is later on this month. and then they will vote in April. And so we will take a look at the terms that are already set, because we want to make sure that they remain staggered, that we don't end up with a 5-person commission that all have the same
Right.
terms. So working out terms is my favorite thing to do. Oh, yeah, so.
I have one other question, and this probably
For me? Okay.
would probably be for you. And it's involving in section 3, removal from position, item G of that section. You've removed the thing about 3 missed meetings. In the original ordinance, it said you missed 3 meetings, then you are subject at the BOC's
Yeah,
observation
so-
to be removed.
Yeah, that section is still in there. This is just the amendment. We're gonna
Okay,
leave that,
okay. So
yes.
that's still there?
Yes, you still have to show up to the meetings, yes.
Mr. Jacobs
Yes.
is going to be a...
But I'm glad that you brought that up, because yes, your attendance is definitely required.
Mr. Jacobs in
Yeah,
particular
that is
not
correct,
attending.
absolutely.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah, that's in section 2.
Was it?
Okay, I just have comments for
Okay.
section 3. Training.
Mm-hmm.
As a new board member, I have not
Yes.
had any training.
Yes,
And I think that training is so important for this board, because we sit here and we have lots of discussions that we don't even, that's out of our
absolutely.
control. And I think that with our training, it would let us know and teach us that what comes before us is what we need to start concentrating on a little bit more. So the training part, I really do
Wasn't
like.
there an email that came out a few months ago that
Yes.
they were going to
Yeah.
initiate some training, but it never occurred?
Right, and so what we would like to do is a two-prong approach. We'll do internal training and also send you to training that is provided by the Atlanta Regional Commission
Right.
for planning commission members and volunteers that serve in similar capacities.
And then also, I was looking at the qualifications where we should have some type of planning, fields of planning, architectural, landscaping, architectural, civil engineering, real estate, building construction, and related fields. I think that is so important as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for
I
bringing
kind
that up.
of disagree to an extent. I think.
About the qualifications?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I think it's a broad base that bring quality to the board. And foremost, we're all homeowners to a degree. We all live in Rockdale County to a degree, so we're citizens. So I think it should be a little diverse. It's not a business committee. It's a
Right.
community recommendation, a community impact on how things impact the citizens of Rockdale.
And I think you're absolutely correct. And what the Board of Commissioners strives to do is to select a cross-section of our community to make sure that it's reflected by the members that serve on the Planning Commission, and to make sure that they can make those decisions that are coming before them. We do like to try to look for qualifications that could enable your decision-making coupled with training. And making sure that we've got good, solid volunteers for whatever volunteer boards and commissions that we might have available.
And I have a question too from item, section 2.
Okay, section 2.
Which is line item number 6, other offices. Members of the planning commission shall hold no other elected or appointed office or other county compensated position. So appointed, so if a person is on another board that has been appointed, they cannot continue to serve as well?
So I think it depends on what the actual, are you talking about a volunteer board?
Yes.
Okay, so it would depend. More so that's if you are holding an appointed office, like an office, not a volunteer office, but like there's a difference between being a volunteer appointee and then being appointed to an office holder.
Okay, because I sit on the defects board.
Yes, and I would not see a conflict there,
Okay,
right?
all right.
Okay.
And those are all of my
That's it?
questions.
I have one.
Yes.
Should we offer positive input as far as what they should consider doing? Just like this gentleman we were talking about the sewer. I know it's not that easy to go out and get a sewer tap, get connection, especially I've been out there to that development. So that's why I was suggesting that he get the details of that, because I don't think he has them.
So you're talking about when someone is submitting
Yes.
for an application?
Should is it
Okay.
okay to give him some pointers, some things you should consider? Because that can hold him up. He can have
Yes.
everything but sewer capacity.
We're going to 5, you're going to 5.
Yes.
Does that make a quorum 3?
3 does, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Just to confirm.
Yeah.
Do all of our terms start over when we separate?
So we'll have to start fresh because it's a new board. So yes, and then that kind of goes along with what they're asking about the terms. So technically, this will be a new commission, both. Shall it split?
So that would do for the city and the county? We'll
Yes.
start over?
Yes.
When does this start?
Well, if
You mean I may have to serve longer than a year?
so, the effective dates would be different. So it sounds like the council is taking up their vote. Is that next Wednesday? Okay. So the council is ahead of the Board of Commissioners. If the council votes next Wednesday, then theirs will become effective. We're still going through the public hearing process. We're being heard tonight. The Board of Commissioners meets in 2 weeks for their public hearing for these items that are on the agenda, and then they'll vote in April to have the
So
commission.
this is our last, this is our last meeting.
I mean, if this divorce proceeding goes ahead, then yes.
All
You
right.
good, you good?
But
Any
you know, one
further
thing about
questions?
it,
No.
No.
this may be a good point because all our learning is a little bit different because this is my second term on the board because when we had learning and when COVID stepped in, so that stopped learning with
Yes.
ARC and pretty much it's like how things impacted your overall view of when you're going in and making decisions, how things impact your neighborhood, how things, so it's just like when you talk about training, it could be good that we all get the same training because we
Yes.
definitely got different training.
Well, and that's the really good thing about going to training that's put on by the Atlanta Regional Commission because they train all kinds of, boards of adjustment, zoning, hearing type boards all over the metro Atlanta area, and they hear the same issues. And so the training is based in the same format on the issues that you should take up and what you should consider and the criteria in which you're considering and that type of thing, so.
So
yes.
when would that start?
So we would probably look closer to April, spring, that kind of thing. Check with the calendar and then with their calendar. And then internal training, we can do that sooner than later.
Okay, but the RC training would start probably sometime?
Yeah, they're cyclical and they're not always, I think they hold theirs maybe twice a year. So we'd have to catch when
And
they're,
it's 1 day a week.
I know you've been before,
Yeah, I've
so
been
yes.
went to the first one. I think it was 1 day a week for,
Yes, I think that's right.
each month.
Yes, so.
like, you go 1 day a month, but it's
I
something
think it
like
was
that.
May, June.
The last one I had was
Yes,
during the,
right, but it's not, you have to catch them,
Yeah,
so
you have to catch
yes.
us May, June.
the last one we had was when we were on COVID.
I think it
And
was.
it was
It's
on,
been,
everything was on Zoom.
yes, yes. But even that's effective if,
Yeah. You can still learn
true.
in your pajamas. Okay. Anything else? Alrighty, I'm looking for a motion for item R10.
All right, I feel it's Hatcher like to make a motion for item R10, text 2025-07, initiate the unified UDO text amendment 2025-07 to amend section 2-135 and 238-3, planning commission, and section 106-1, definitions that will apply to the use.
Okay, we got a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Good. Alrighty. Reports, City of Conyers has none, Rockdale County has none. And the next regular scheduled Rockdale County Planning Commission meeting will be on April 10th. So, with that being considered, this meeting is adjourned. I just took the power.